You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 6.
Breaking right now, the search for a missing woman taking what investigators believe is a tragic turn. Brenda Baber was reported missing earlier this week.
Air Comfort Solutions Chopper 4 over the scene of her boyfriend's home. That's where state agents confirm they've dug up what they believe are human remains.
News 4's Peyton Yeager is on the ground right now. And Peyton, you have been talking to investigators all day. What have you learned?
Right, Eli, police say that they did find a body in this backyard in Sheridan and Kingfisher. You can see investigators still digging through the ground right now. Police have not identified that body yet, but Brenda Baber, she was last heard from on Tuesday, and now her boyfriend, Steven Stryker, sits in custody. It started as a missing persons case, and police say today this home on Sheridan and Kingfisher has turned into a homicide scene.
The last time Brenda's sister had spoken with her was Tuesday afternoon.
Kingfisher police dispatched for a welfare check. Police say Baber's boyfriend, Steven Stryker, could not give a good explanation of where Baber was.
They were allowed inside the home, and based on evidence that they saw inside the home, which included her walker, medicine, her dog, just things that she would not leave without.
Investigators say this afternoon they found human remains in the backyard. News 4 asked the chief of police if the body was dismembered on the property.
It's safe to say that, yes.
Police also say that Stryker has been arrested several times in the past on domestic abuse charges. We're hearing from neighbors right now. We just spoke to them right before we were going live. They tell me that Stryker and Baber, they've been together on and off for about 10 years, and they're just in complete disbelief right now. Live in Kingfisher, Peyton Yeager, Oklahoma's News 4.
Thank you, Peyton. Also this evening, what was the motive in this?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to find out after a woman turned herself in to police. Authorities say she vandalized several buildings with anti-Semitic and racist graffiti.
Allison Johnson booked into the Cleveland County Jail last night. News 4's Emily Akins is live in Norman. And Emily, you've been talking to prosecutors. What is the next step in this case?
Eli, Jolene, we did speak with prosecutors today. They tell us the state is still working to finish up Johnson's charges. Now, we also spoke with the Norman Police Department. They're still finalizing their investigation as well. So no police report or body camera video was available today for us. Now, while they're finishing all of that up, people who live here in Norman tell us they're just glad that Johnson's been caught.
I'm glad that she's in jail and deserves to be.
Tonight, Allison Christine Johnson is locked up, accused of making terroristic threats.
It just blows my mind that we're in 2019 and people can be so radical about it.
Radical about this anti-Semitic graffiti that Norman and Oklahoma City police believe she's responsible for. The first incidents in Oklahoma City last week at the Democratic Party headquarters and the Chickasaw Nation.
Hate will not be tolerated. Not by the Jews, not by Americans, not by anyone.
And then earlier this week, more of the same graffiti left at a Norman school, the Firehouse Arts Center, and the Cleveland County Democratic headquarters.
If they would have done their research and they were actually trying to target Jews, they would have gone to like a synagogue or our Hillel. You know, I'm glad that they didn't, but it shows that they're uneducated.
The vandalism hitting folks in Oklahoma's Jewish community hard, especially here in Norman.
Here in Norman, it's been very different. There's a very big Jewish community in Dallas, and here there's not at all.
With the arrest, folks here are breathing a little easier, but they still have questions.
You catch one particularly hateful person, and that's good, but the ideas didn't come out of thin air. We encounter hateful people, and there is fear involved, but we move forward, and we grow stronger as a community because of it.
The district attorney's office tells us Johnson's arraignment has been set for Monday. Live in Norman, Emily Akins, Oklahoma's News 4.
Now, first weather from the Forewarned Storm Team.
After an absolutely gorgeous day today here, ending up this work week, we're talking about storms tonight. Some of those will be strong to severe. Let's look outside first here. I want to show you some high-level clouds that are moving in, just kind of masking the sunshine. It's a gorgeous night out there. It will be for the next couple hours as well. But you can see the clouds coming in here from the southwest, streaming across much of the state. The very first leading edge of that storm system, which now is bringing lots of rain to parts of New Mexico and Texas. It is intensifying, and it'll be with us for much of the weekend, too. So here's what we we've got. It's a low-end risk of severe weather, but it'll be kind of stretched out over a long time, starting at 11 p.m. tonight out in southwestern Oklahoma, all the way to noon tomorrow. Wind and hail really the main threats right here, so it's going to be kind of a loud and noisy night late tonight, and tomorrow is your whole weekend ruined. We'll talk about that coming up.
Thank you. An anonymous tip leads to a heartbreaking discovery. Kids found living in a home filled with animal feces. Tonight, see what happened when News 4's Jessica Bruno showed up with our cameras.
Deputies say the home behind me is in what they call deplorable conditions. And those deputies, when they found 2 children living inside that home, they made sure they got the proper care they needed.
The overall conditions are heartbreaking for these children.
Heartbreaking and disturbing. Inside this noble home, filth from wall to wall.
The floors were matted with animal feces. There was the extremely strong smell of urine throughout the whole house. There was multiple animals, at sometimes too many to count. A lot of the sleeping area in one of the rooms was full of debris and garbage and feces.
So when deputies paid a visit to the home after receiving a tip and discovered 2 young children were living in those conditions, Detective Matt Sandberg says their hearts sank.
Master Sergeant Coleman, he is one of our patrol supervisors, after the children were placed in protective custody, had taken them to a local Sonic and gotten them something to eat and play with them at a playground out there, just kind of make them feel comfortable.
Using their own money, he and another deputy also stopped by a Dollar General to buy them some clean clothes.
A tragic call that has a silver lining in the way that the deputies responded, and one of the neatest things about this is even after the deputies were gone, one of the children is saying, "Hey, where's my deputy? Where's my deputy?"
Lynn Iser, Tandy, Donna, and Winchester Moore all arrested on child neglect charges while shooting on a public road outside their property.
The police have been called for trespassing.
I'm not on your property.
Not too long after that, a deputy showed up, confirming we were allowed to be there. The entire situation difficult for everyone involved.
It was very easy to tell that this was something that they'd become used to and accustomed to. And I think that was more heartbreaking than anything else. Our youth should be given the best chance to succeed, and these children were put in a very tough situation.
In Noble, Jessica Bruno, Oklahoma's News 4.
A neighbor who called News 4 today says DHS has been called to that home before, along with the Department of Environmental Quality, because of trash being burned in the backyard.
State lawmakers are elected to write new laws, right? But are they letting corporations and interest groups write them instead? An investigation by USA Today digs into the practice of what's called copycat bills. Those are bills that are allegedly showing up by the thousands. News 4's Lily Zhang joins us now live from the state capitol with one idea to bring more transparency to this practice.
Yeah, Eli, this idea is brought up by Representative Colin Walkie. Now, he brought up a bill just like this last year, and it didn't go far, but he says he will likely bring it up in future legislation.
Uniform trust law, uniform commercial code, things that deal with interstate transactions. That's where model legislation becomes important.
But when it comes to state policy directly impacting Oklahoma citizens, that's where Representative Colin Walkie says there needs to be more transparency. He says he plans on rerunning a bill requiring lawmakers to disclose where they get language for their bills.
Most constituents, I think that their legislators are out there proposing bills for their best interest. And the reality is that a lot of those bills, I don't know that most of them, but a lot of the bills are just model legislation from other states. And it's not fair to take model legislation from another state and just slap it down here in Oklahoma and say, well, that's good enough.
The issue at the center of a recent investigation by USA Today, the Arizona Republic, and the Center for Public Integrity. Here's what they found. At least 10,000 bills in the U.S. over the past 8 years were almost entirely copied from model legislation. More than 2,100 were signed into law.
Oftentimes, you have to make some changes, but either way, you're basically importing all of this expertise and all of this experience into our lawmaking process. I mean, it's a big win for Oklahoma.
Trent England is with the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs. He says many of the laws in place are modeled from other states. Lawmakers don't have to reinvent the wheel, and doing business across state lines can be easier.
I really worry about the debate getting shifted off into, well, we don't want to do that because that's the law in California and we don't like California, or we don't want to do that because, you know, this one special interest group takes a position that we don't like on something else.
That may be true, but if your bill is good, then it doesn't matter what the bias is. I think the citizens deserve to know where their legislation comes from.
Now, Walke says that the bill he brought up last year will have to be tweaked before it's brought up again, but it will have the same intent. We're live at the state capitol. Lily Zhang, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, lawmakers have a lot to answer for. Lily, thank you for that. A father's split-second reaction after his daughter's heart stops.
I couldn't wait on anybody to come. You know, I don't know, 2 minutes later, I don't know if we'd be sitting here.
Tonight, his new mission, what he wants other dads to learn that could potentially save their child's life.
Welcome back. It was a miracle in Missouri.
While vacationing in Branson, a 6-year-old Piedmont girl's heart stopped, but her dad saved her life without any training.
News 4's Lauren Daniels has their incredible story and what they want you to know to protect your kids.
Seeing her play with her siblings, you'd never think 6-year-old Peyton Woods suffered what doctors call sudden death just a couple of weeks ago.
And we were going to get a lollipop, and
She doesn't remember much, but her parents remember every second. While vacationing in Branson for her birthday, Peyton came down with what they thought was a typical respiratory issue, so they took her to urgent care. But when Peyton and her dad went to Walmart to get her medicine and that lollipop, out of nowhere, she collapsed.
She skipped into Walmart. She skipped in with him.
Instinct took over. Ricky started chest compressions, even though he'd never been trained.
I couldn't wait on anybody to come. You know, I don't know, 2 minutes later, I don't know if we'd be sitting here.
Next thing the family knew, Peyton and her mother were on an airplane. Luckily, a bed opened up at the Children's Hospital at OU Medicine, so they didn't have to stay in Missouri.
Closer to home, and then they're the best of the best.
She was rushed into surgery as soon as doctors figured out what was wrong.
She had what we call sudden death, where you collapse secondary to the heart stopping. Often it's due to arrhythmia, meaning a funny rhythm or a slow rhythm of the heart.
Dr. Harold Burkhart says this is something very rare, especially because symptoms usually pop up shortly after birth. Thankfully, Peyton was in the best hands possible. Dr. Burkhart actually helped develop a smaller pacemaking device for children years ago. When Peyton's heart goes out of rhythm, it shocks it. Her big sister now helping her keep up with the life-saving technology as she slowly gets back to her normal, fun-loving, athletic self. She has some big plans, too.
go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Thank God for, he doesn't like taking credit for it, but I mean, he saved her life, I think, so.
Now, her parents are both getting trained in CPR and hope their story will inspire you two as well.
I got lucky, but you know, I would have liked to have been more prepared, I think. But I'm definitely thankful and we're humbled, you know, to be here right now.
Lauren Daniels, Oklahoma's News 4.
Doctors will do genetic studies and follow Peyton to see if she outgrows the condition. Normally, kids do outgrow it, but in her case, it's different since she developed it so late. Her pacemaker is under her ribs, so she should be able to have a normal life otherwise.
Now, forewarned weather with Aaron Brackett.
Today was beautiful. Yesterday, not too bad at all. Unfortunate timing, though, for the weekend. We're tracking thunderstorms, some of which are going to be strong and severe. They start just a couple hours from now. Let's look outside here. A Woodward camera showing increasing cloudiness. It's thickening up out there. First, some high clouds. Now they're starting to lower throughout the sky. And, well, that'll be the story of tonight. Most of that cloud cover sticking around here. 73 right now, though. Just gorgeous. Great time to be outside. In fact, especially in central Oklahoma, if you're thinking about going out tonight, outdoors, indoors, you will not see any rain until well after midnight. So no plans will be ruined tonight. South winds about 12 miles per hour right now. Temperatures, well, they were almost 80 degrees in southern Oklahoma today. Just gorgeous day. Lower 70s off to the north. And you can see a lot of that heat still in Texas right now, where we have either easterly or southeasterly winds. What's happening here? We're getting moisture in from the east. It's usually a southeast wind that will give us that moisture in addition to warming temps. And all this is fuel for those thunderstorms as they get ready to move in. So first, you can see from space the clouds coming in here. Yes, thickening up as we saw from the ground level as well. And on the radar, starting to get some returns here in portions of New Mexico. There's actually more rain falling than it looks right here. Those mountains get in the way of the radar beam, but it is picking up intensity, and the view from space shows kind of a little curlicue right there near Santa Fe, New Mexico. That's the area of low pressure. Again, some more driving force for the system. So that's what's happening now. What happens going forward? That's the question. Here's the answer. As we go into tonight, you start to see a little bit of rain trying to make it into southwestern Oklahoma. The real show, though, starts after midnight there. And this has actually been slowing down in some of the latest model runs right here. So by the morning, by sunrise, it'll be raining in western and central Oklahoma. That continues throughout the mid-morning hours. And then by the afternoon, it does look like we get a little narrow window of some clearing. If that happens, if we get sunshine, well, later in the afternoon out west, expect more thunderstorms to fire. And if they fire, they'll be severe. That's the big if. It's a conditional forecast. There's a good chance that nothing happens, too. The cap will hold. But again, that will be a small risk for us tomorrow afternoon. If we look forward to Sunday, well, some morning sunshine and more afternoon isolated thunderstorms. They'll be pretty widespread, too, during the afternoon, evening hours on Sunday. As far as rainfall, again, it just depends on where the heaviest thunderstorms set up, but potential is there for widespread 1-inch plus totals, maybe 2 in some of the heavier hit areas. So some good rain for western Oklahoma. Here we are at 10 o'clock tonight. This is a small chance of just a couple showers making it to southwestern Oklahoma, but rain and storms come in overnight tonight, especially off to the west. 56 the low temperature in Oklahoma City, 58 in Lawton, and then by tomorrow morning, early to mid-morning. It'll be situated here in central and southern Oklahoma, and there is a risk with it. It's a low-end slight risk of mainly hail, also some gusty winds with any thunderstorms that are blowing through, especially the strongest ones. We'll keep you forewarned tomorrow morning. By the afternoon, round 1 leaves. Round 2, again, this is that conditional threat. In all likelihood, there won't be storms, but if they form, they will be severe. So again, low-end slight risk here, hail, high winds for tomorrow in the afternoon. That's out in western Oklahoma. Here's the extended forecast for you. 70 degrees tomorrow with rain and thunderstorms, a 100% possibility. Again, that'll be in the morning to late morning hours. 75 on Monday, 80 Tuesday. There's an 83 Wednesday with southerly winds. That'll be quite strong. We'll be looking at fire danger, and a dry cold front comes through, putting an end to those temps and welcoming back 50s. What's going on there? More rain and storms for the following weekend as well. So a lot to follow. It's not going to be a total washout tomorrow. I want to underline that, but again, there'll be many rainy hours throughout the day.
100% is a very, very strong
that's
chance,
certain,
right?
Yeah, that's full certainty. We're throwing it all in. So.
You're confident.
Yeah, indeed. But the one thing that is not certain is the future of the Thunder, right?
Yeah, you knocked that out of the park for sure. They're struggling right now. There's no doubt about it. Just 4 games left in the regular season, and the Thunder need to bank wins like crazy if they're going to avoid Golden State or Denver in the first round of the playoffs. OKC squares off with Detroit tonight, who's also in a big-time playoff battle for positioning. For the Thunder, they say it starts with slowing down the big fellas for the Pistons.
And obviously, Drummond on the backboard, his ability to rebound, their shooting around them is really, really good. So, I mean, they present a lot of challenges in terms of defending them with Griffin and Drummond up front.
You still go game at a time because we're in a tight race for position. So you still, one game at a time with the mindset of preparing for the playoffs. Want to get momentum. Want to make sure everybody's clicking.
There was some question as to whether or not former Sooner Blake Griffin was going to play tonight, but our incredible producers and director have just told me in my ear that Blake Griffin is going to play tonight. He's missed the last few games with knee soreness. He went through shoot-around this morning. As you can see him getting some work right there. So we'll see what kind of impact Blake Griffin has tonight, but expect him to play if you're going to the Peak. Now, the Texas Longhorns are national champions, and technically, they're not wrong. Texas won the NIT, which is called the National Invitation Tournament. That was posted on TexasSports.com, Texas's official athletics website. Caused a bit of a stir, however, it's since been taken down and changed to this, which you can see is a little more proper. Coming up, the incredible hole-in-one you can't miss, plus Clayton Kershaw's big night in OKC, why he hopes this is his last trip here. That's next on News 4. Welcome back. The OKC Dodgers are on a mission to take out San Antonio and pick up their first win of the season tonight. First pitch inside the brick is set for 7:05 p.m. Now, despite the loss last night, it'll be tough to top what we all got treated to. Clayton Kershaw made his first rehab start in OKC for opening night in front of a sold-out crowd, more than 12,000 on hand. Kershaw went just over 4 innings, struck out 6. No word on if he'll make another rehab start here, but he says he doesn't want to. But if he does, he likes the team.
Yeah, it was interesting timing. Yeah, it was good. I get to come out here, and I was just with most of these guys in spring training, and it's a great group. Really enjoy it. Travis is, the new manager, and I love him to death. I've known Travis for a long time. He's one of my favorites. So they got a good one here, and should have a good team.
Let's play some golf. Valero Texas Open second round. This is Abraham Answer knocking down the 30-foot putt. He's from San Antonio. That's where he lives right now, so he's having a great time out there, although he is at 5 under. Right now trying to battle back. On 17, Ricky Fowler drops that birdie, goes to 8 under. He's in second, just 4 shots back of this guy. This is Siwoo Kim. This is on 16, and you can't draw this up any better. He had a 2-shot lead at this point. Let's add 2 shots to it. Buckets, gets the bounce, a hole-in-one. Incredible for him. He's your leader. We'll have final round coverage, third round coverage, all that good stuff on Oklahoma's News 4 this weekend. Wow. Can't wait.
Quick story. Did I tell you about the time they sent me to OSU to cover tailgating, and Ricky Fowler was there, and this news person had no idea who he was.
Oh,
this was years ago. It was years ago, and I never admitted it until now. These sports guys. So.
And you did it right on TV. The cardinal sin is out there for everyone to know.
That's all right.
About.
No one heard. It's just us talking.
Okay.
No one saw this.
I was young and
us.
stupid. Okay. A power move on the basketball court going viral.
It's a slam dunk that you have got to see. And guess what? We've got it right here next on News 4.